Okay, we are very happy to host David and Daniel today, the founders of Gonka AI. I have some background story here. We actually met, I believe, like 5 months ago in the near office, and we was like talking about like that. It was right before the Gonka been launched, and we was planning to host some NFT collection together, and like we will end up like technical process and stuff being much longer. And we internally inside Hot Team, that's how Hex actually became the thing. We were thinking, okay, like the NFT probably not gonna happen, and we see like this the Gonka ready to launch, and like it's a kind of isolated and unique blockchain, and it's also blockchain related to like the future DeFi ecosystem and mining and a lot of economics about GPUs. And when we think about economics, first things you have to make sure you have is a platform to buy, to sell, to do all financial instrument on top of it. And we spent a month to build a Hex exchange, which right now the only order book we support is a Gonka chain. And this is still one of the main market for the Gonka tokens. And we are very happy today to host Daniel and David to talk with them about the Gonka blockchain in general and what's the vision for the project, what's happening with the ecosystem, and all questions you probably all have.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So let's start with some warm up. David, can you please explain very simple what Gonka AI is, how it works, and how it different from like other blockchains for AI, other like proof of work blockchains?
Yeah, so Gonka is a proof of work AI compute network. Our belief is that the power of proof of work networks before showed all of us that enormous infrastructure can be built by communities around the world. Bitcoin data centers comprise more power, like accumulate more power than entire corporate market of United States. Or Filecoin managed to gather 10 million terabytes of data. It's like enormous amount of storage accumulated by the community. So we wanted to bring the same for AI compute because we believe that the way compute is centralized right now by a few hyperscalers, it's quite dangerous for all of us, and it doesn't allow us to unlock the potential to bring abundance to the entire humanity when every human on Earth will have their own agents which will act on their behalf and which will allow us all thrive. So we wanted to bring something like that to the community, and that was the inspiration. There were in some attempts before to build DeFi AI projects, but unfortunately, all of them, including Bitenzer or I.net, they all were based on proof of stake concept, when stakers actually earn most of the rewards. And even though it's a nice concept from financial perspective, but is a way to build infrastructure, it doesn't really work well. All these projects weren't able to gather significant amount of compute in their networks. So we saw this gap and we wanted to fill it, and that's how we come up with the protocol. And so far, it was an amazing journey. Yes, you're right. We met and discussed all of that before the project was launched, and it wasn't clear how fast it can grow. But now, this 5 months later, is the largest in terms of compute AI network. Has data centers connected their GPUs from all places around the world, Europe, Asia, United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Japan, Vietnam, like around the world. And the potential of such protocol is to actually bring together millions of GPUs and then also allow different engineers around the world to build better hardware for AI compute, the same way as we saw with ASICs with Bitcoin. So this is inspiration, and so far the community surprised us really greatly, and we hope that this project, which will actually be large enough to make the real competition for companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google.
It's real cool. Let me rephrase and like correct me if I'm wrong. So the Gonka exists because everyone in the future would need their AI to use. And if you use AI right now, you need a pretty big hardware. You need a hardware, very expensive one, to launch a model. That's why what we do right now, we go to these cloud providers like OpenAI or Anthropic, and we use their own models running on their own compute to use AI. And I personally really believe that AI gonna be the only important things very soon. And we all will have the AI credits is what we're gonna be taxed for. And that's how we're gonna measure how rich we are, is how much compute and how much access to cloud code or like the compute in general we have. So Gonka came in and said, okay, like we don't want to have this all control power locked in with this couple centralized entities. We need to have this decentralized network of hardware where you can run your model. So you can pick up any person around the world, give him your task to do, and he will calculate this or he will inference the model for you. That's how Gonka Champion created. And that's just really impressive. So you said that right now you're the biggest GPU cloud in the world, bigger than OpenAI, bigger than Anthropic.
No, because it's a decentralized network.
Because it's centralized.
So we still like Gonka still have kind of the way to go to be comparable to the biggest AI providers. But in terms of decentralized projects, the proof of work concept proved itself and showed that it actually allow more infrastructure builders around the world profitably join such projects and grow together with the project.
And would you mind, like, how many GPUs you have right now, like, and how big is it percentage from like their, like OpenAI, or like the blockchain exists only for 5 months, right? And like, what's the numbers?
Yeah, so for example, currently the biggest decentralized project before us was Bittensor, which right now works around $7 billion, $6-7 billion FDV. And they have around 2,000 GPUs. So Gonka already have around 3,000 GPUs. And when I say GPU, it's I don't count for like gamers RTXs. I mean in data center grade GPUs like H200, B200, this type of GPUs. So Gonka has right now 3,000. OpenAI probably right now is close to 500,000. They plan to be at million soon. So we expect that.
That's already, you have like 5% of what OpenAI has.
Yes, and it's not as far away. And if you if you will look at the tokenomics of the project, it's quite visible that as soon as this network will be on parity, for example, with Bittensor on the FDV, the network already will have 50,000 GPUs in the network. So it will be already 10 times closer to what OpenAI right now. For sure, OpenAI also will grow, but not with that speed. And they probably will have maybe a million GPUs by the mid of this year, and so maybe like a couple million in the end of this year.
Well, I think it's like it makes sense. Like if any GPU owner can join your network, you probably will grow much faster than ChatGPT, like than OpenAI has to go and buy all GPUs to their own single entity. Like that's crazy. Like it's 5 months and you have 5% of the OpenAI compute. That's very impressive.
And
Next,
moreover, you know, like their main bottleneck right now is that they are trying to squeeze them in like just this giant data centers. So they waste most of the time to just build these giant data centers, even though this decentralized nature of Bitcoin showed that, say, if you have smaller data centers around the world, it's much easier to get access to electricity. It's much easier to actually organize everything, and also this entrepreneurial spirit of a smaller participants are like they motivated much more than people inside of the
I,
companies which just have their shares, and these shares are growing no matter what.
I actually like personally believe that like very soon we would need like thousands times more compute per person in the world. And like that anyone who has compute would be like it would be like oil. Like if your company, if your country, or like your company have a compute, you're gonna be the guy who manage the economy. Do you believe that sooner or later you're never gonna be so big and like so huge that OpenAI actually will start running their inference on Gonka chain as well?
Daniel, what do you, what do you think?
I'd rather see this as at some point one of the, I'll put it that way. Currently, all of the frontier models, the OpenAI, Anthropic, Grok, or even Google, everyone relies on their own cloud because that's the environment they control. And through this environment, they want to have sort of like monopoly. It's not monopoly, but it's in a sense it's a oligopoly. Like when few of corporations actually own majority of the compute. That's, for example, what happened to the cloud compute, in which three US corporations, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, combined represent over 60% of all of the global compute globally, not
Is it
just in the
because of like
US.
privacy and security? What do you think is like the reason why cloud compute cannot be centralized right now? Or like, why is it going to be different with inference?
Like what's the question again? Why it cannot be or can be?
Why right now it's so centralized? Is it because security reasons? Or like it's economy reason?
I would say it's a competition reason. I mean, it's more of a how can we prevent other countries to compete with the US in a sense.
Okay, so it's
Uh,
more regulation one.
it's more regulation one, yes.
But also, if you look at the previous decentralized projects, they were really hard to use. Like if you will try to connect the storage of Filecoin to your app, is actually pretty hard, even though it's really cheap. Like so, like economically, it's much better to use it as a storage. But it was always built in a way so that only people who are really passionate about decentralization will connect it.
That's true.
We are not from blockchain world, like we are from AI world. That's why for us, when we only started to build it, we from the very first day we said like it should be API first, so it should be easier for developers to connect. It should be easy to join. So this is in with AI the good part that it's almost none of the developers would install their own containers and run their own environments. Most of this consumption is right now through a simple API. And that's what decentralized network can easily deliver. And that's where we believe that AI computing can actually bit decentralized compared to the just regular cloud compute. Because with regular cloud compute, you need to build the entire AWS type of system,
that's
the link, and
actually
all this stuff.
very good point. Let me try to rephrase. So the idea is that if we do think about traditional services we provide in cloud, we need like thousands different SDK services, and like it's very hard to maintain. The inference is a one single point of entry. It's much easier to scale. That's where Gonka can actually beat the traditional compute, because that's a technology and like that's a task. It's very specific, universal task we solve to use AI, which very easy to scale. Well, that makes sense.
Decentralized protocols are really good in this. Like when you have a standard, when you have the kind of a simplicity in the usage, decentralized networks can really scale well.
That's very true. That's why we have Solidity. That's why we have this unification in all compute related to the blockchain, and like that's actually really makes sense why we started with AI to build this like decentralized.
Moreover, thinking through the prism of how, like when you're saying that the usage of AI will increase maybe like 1,000 times, I would argue that this will happen mainly because of the agentic systems, because people using agents who are doing some of their tasks and work for them, simultaneously multiple agents for every human being doing several tasks in cloud. So not even on your personal computer, somewhere outside, somewhere where is 24/7, 99.9% of uptime. Like this is the expectation from the service, which people would want to have. And this is going to be agentic tools. So for those agentic tools, API is the key. The agent itself can even decide what API it will use, which API provider, which inference provider it will use.
So it's going to be much easier to compete because it's not about brand, it's about real service.
Yes,
it's about
exactly.
the real hardware price, and like that's what's happening right now. Actually, with everything in DeFi, like it used to be like a big brand, and now everyone use aggregators. And if you provide a better service on API, what for example like Intense did, like you can blow up and like take huge percent of the market, because you don't need to convince people to use you. You need to convince API aggregator use you. Which is much easier.
What's interesting, if you look at the Open Router, which today considered to be the most known and used API aggregator, like in a sense aggregator. It's more than just an aggregator, because it allows you to switch between different API service providers on the go through their own tooling and own API. But what's interesting is when OpenClaw, for example, was released, not even released, when OpenClaw got the hype moment in January, it was released several months before that. But when in end of January, second part of January, when it got caught up with YouTubers, media, and like actually got traction really fast. Since that moment, Open Router usage quadrupled. So it grew 4 times in the past, what is it, like 3 months?
Like, the Gonka can be their only provider for Open Router in some future.
Can be. Yes. And for agents as well. So for agents, eventually, like if human beings, they have some attachment for brands like OpenAI, Anthropic, it's harder to switch. Agents are not like that. They like, as soon as you will ask your agent, find the most cost-effective solution, they will discover Gonka by themselves.
Not just find. Keep looking for it. Like never stop on one. Just that check every day. What is better today? What is faster today? What is cheaper today?
And now we're coming to the second question. Okay, so the agents in the internet, they're looking for the best solution for hardware, and they see that's a story about the Gonka. And now they see the Gonka token, right? So how does it work? If I'm an AI agent and like I want to use a platform, And also like the economics of the platform, like you mentioned, it's much cheaper in terms of hardware, but like of course it's like the price needs to be compensated with inflation or like other mechanics. So who pay for compute and how?
Yeah, so here what's important about the Bitcoin-like tokenomics. Bitcoin-like tokenomics built on the idea that tokens represent a future market. So if the compute in the network will be much larger, like for example, we have millions of GPUs, so millions of ASICs, which will be 10 times faster or 100 times faster than GPUs, then the same token will represent much more compute. Every unit of token will represent much more utility. So from this perspective, what we have that, like with Bitcoin, today, all miners are getting not only payments from developers, not only payments from agents, but they also get block reward. Every day, additional coins are issued. And for sure, over time, in 4 years, it will be half less, and in 8 years, it will be another halving, and in 12 years, it will be another halving. But currently, the rewards are pretty high. And what it creates that in the market, when there is real competition, the price for developer is equal to the cost of how much GPU cost minus block reward. And for example, currently block reward is actually higher on the market, like the price is higher than the GPU cost, which means that actually GPU owners today are ready to give the inference to developers even with negative price.
And that's only because they believe that this Gonka token will grow in the future.
Because they believe that the amount of compute will grow in the future. And that the ASICs of the future will be much more powerful than the GPU currently. So as soon as you understand that this type of technologies which will evolve, the infrastructure will evolve, then you clearly see that it's better right now to participate in mine to provide this service to the developers.
Okay, that very makes sense. Let me also try to rephrase. So the supply of Gonka tokens is limited. So right now, let's say one Gonka token represent 1 minute of compute. But because in the future, the network is growing, and this is already a 5% size of the OpenAI, and soon it's going to be like 10, 20% as OpenAI. One Gonka token would be represent 20, 30, 40 minutes of compute. Mm-hmm. And because if we believe that Gonka network will continue growing, it makes sense to hold token right now because you can resell this compute power in the future for like much bigger proportion. And that's the reason why the current miners actually mining these tokens in loss, because they expect the network continue growing and they would get like this, they would be able to like resell, and it's going to be more expensive because it's represent bigger compute.
Because it represents, yes, bigger compute, bigger utility, which you can get for that. And because we all know, like as Daniel mentioned, as you mentioned, that it's obvious that people will use only more of compute in the future. And people is actually also like, it's not like our representations with thousands of agents will use compute more than we can even imagine.
I have no doubt in this. So I think like it's like really this like very it's very interesting. So you need to make people believe long enough for this to become reality. And if you will, and it will become reality, it's gonna be like huge, and like it's gonna take the
people currently, you can see a lot of kind of headlines in the magazines that AI companies still haven't figured out the profit model and things like that. It's all bubble. But if you look at the real reports of these companies, both OpenAI and Anthropic have 50% margin. And this includes training costs of the models which they provide right now. Moreover, NVIDIA, which is part of their cost, has 90% margin. 90. It's insane. Like we haven't seen ever the hardware companies which will have such a margin. But that's what is opportunity. That's why before decentralized players will be successful in making the push, like market push from the community. The NVIDIA and this OpenAI and Anthropic, they represent already trillions of value. In all these trillions of value is actually only because of the expectation that the compute which people will consume will be thousands times larger than what we see today.
I have another question. Like let's talk a bit more about the DeFi part and like the token price. Do you believe right now that right now Gonka is very unique position? I think it's only blockchain I know who on like already in pretty mature stage, but still is not listed almost anywhere besides Hex Exchange and like a couple more exchanges, which is surprisingly. How do you explain it to yourself? Or like, is it? Do you specifically like on purpose try to make the Gonka market like quite small and like isolated right now? Or what do you think is the reason why the ecosystem is still like quite small and like for like it
The reason
still
is
seems that trading tools are very like internal so far.
the reason is simple and complicated at the same time. The simplicity of this reason is we truly want this project to be completely decentralized in all possible senses. And the first and foremost sense of this is that it is not us who need to be listing this because we don't own the project. We don't own the project, we don't run the project. We represent the project because we've built it, and we will continue to be part of the community and keep building it together with the community. But our hope is for this project to be actually supported by thousands and in the future millions of developers who will be developing this, and more lines of code of this project to be done not by us but by others. And the very nature of Bitcoin, for example, was the same when it only started, and no one actually went to blockchain exchanges, cryptocurrency exchanges, to represent Bitcoin there. You just connect and you list
I,
it, and that's
I
what
think
we expect from the exchanges themselves. So we understand that probably it is in a sense making our life a little bit more complicated. But as you can see, you and several other projects already actually jumped on and created decentralized versions of exchanges for this specific for our specific coin because they believe in the future of the project. Sooner or later, the other exchanges would just have to will have to list us, and we just want them to make their own decision about doing this rather than going and begging them to do this.
yeah, well, I personally love this answer. Like, I think yeah, like we are happy to step in here and like the back the economics. But do you think that right now the like the Gonka price and like supply and demand and like the because like for some people their expectation of like future growth is also represented by like the target price or like their like some other metrics. Do you think that's or like is it any of concerns like the current like Gonka trading, like the volume, the price, like the opening of the market for the? Do you think it somehow affected the growth of the GPU network, or the only thing is important is GPU network growth and token price will follow eventually?
So our take on that most of the projects in blockchain fields, they are like pure speculation. There is no real question of like the price can be from 0 to million. It can be whatever people imagine. With proof of work systems is quite different because there is underlying cost. So the underlying cost is GPUs, or like in Bitcoin is ASICs, like which you connect in, which have the physical costs. So in this physical cost creates the hardness to actually mine. Yes, this concept of mining is pretty beautiful in terms of it really describes what is happening. Like people make an effort to get these coins, and this effort creates the underlying cost. So with the current size of the network, with 3,000 GPUs, it's actually the current price is quite close to the to what is real like cost of mining. So we believe that the price will reflect the size of the network, that's the amount of GPUs in the network, and so when more infrastructure builders, data center owners, or just people who rented GPUs and connect to the network, the more people join the network and join their compute to the network, it will be reflected in price.
Okay,
So we
that
would
makes
be
sense.
only concerned if we would have a situation when the price on your platform would be much lower than what it costs for people to mine. But not currently, it's an opposite. It's actually it's quite if you have your own GPUs, or you actually renting them with the real price, you actually earn pretty good profit out of it with the current price.
I think there's also another like good reason. We talked with a few miners teams, and originally, like I believe in the like a couple months ago, like the Gonka price was about like 2.5 to $3, and but also the cost of mining been much higher because it's been a smaller miners, it's been individuals who've been rented one by one GPU in the clouds to set everything up. And also there've been some updates about the models you use and like security, which I believe also had some things here because there was some cheaters and that make mining pricing more expensive for everyone else. And because later the project became more like mature and you have a bigger cloud stepping in, and like the bigger of course the cost of mining is much lower because they own the GPUs, they own the electricity supply chain, like the cost is much lower. And when that happened, there of course if they mine Gonka for like lower price and they see the market which is significantly higher, they can always like earn money from this gap. So one of the reason is the Gonka price go down is not actually for the bad reason. It because you got like a bigger infrastructure players in the network, which made mining cost much lower, which is represented by the token price, which is like such a
You're right.
phenomenal
That,
for like
for
a massive
example,
blockchain. It would be a bad sign, but for you it actually means that if GPU is growing and Gonka price going down means that price of compute going down, means you get much better deal, and which makes you in future can get like much better share of the market because your price of compute is smaller, which
you're
is
right.
like
That actually the network right now is in a much better state than it was in December.
Yes.
Because in December, what happens that there were a lot of participants who were new to mining, and they didn't really know that it's their responsibility to protect their servers from DDoS attacks or things like that. And there were a lot of DDoS attacks because it started to be profitable to attack other players so that you will earn more coins, which
welcome to the
made it
decentralization. Yeah.
yes, which made it more expensive for people to mine because they were losing their rewards, because when your server attacked, your server is not participating properly, you're not getting your reward every day. So it made everything more expensive. Now, when people learned how to set up properly their servers, their firewalls, how to protect themselves from attacks, the network is much more stable, and so the earnings are much more stable from this perspective.
Moreover, yes, some of the decisions which community actually accepted, we always wanted this network to grow to the stage where it will be able to provide the service, the API service, with the top existing open source models. And all of those top existing open source models, the actual top ones, the one which competing on all the benchmarks with the US frontiers, they all require to have at least 8 GPUs of such caliber in one server, which makes it, yes, harder for let's say junior miner to join this, but actually it makes a network of a higher quality and higher caliber. And that's what actually pushed out a lot of smaller miners, but those who stayed and they're with the project, like over 3,000 GPUs are with the project for the past 3 months without going anywhere. So there's actually this.
Sorry, is it correct to say that Gonka right now is a network of a cloud providers who mining it?
Yeah, the cloud providers, but it's not cloud providers. What we see that there is these big players like Google or AWS or Azure, Microsoft. But in reality, there are many smaller data centers. The data centers maybe have like 500 GPUs or like 1,000 GPUs.
Or 20,000 GPUs.
And they are not as known, but they actually are much better in actually tuning their servers
service providing.
To provide the real service, etc. But usually what they have right now, that they need to compete for these big contracts from these big cloud providers. Like Nubius got contract from Meta for
Okay, so
$27
it's a
billion.
network of the mid-sized data centers.
Yeah. In mid-sized data centers, for them, Gonka is a gold, because now they don't need to have the sales team who tries to attract all these big contracts, etc.
No
They need to
marketing,
be
no
just
business
better.
developer. They don't need to deal with large US corporations to sell them 12 months contract and stuff.
Also, like it's predictable. It's very predictable income. If I'm a data center, I can put my 100% of my capacity, fire all these humans who sell my product, and just make the Gonka give me money.
The way we see
yes, in smaller miners, they just join forces and form the pools and rented out this equipment, and they actually pools right now also represents quite significant overall power in the network.
In the chat section, I've seen several messages, people saying like, where this pool, where that pool, where this pool. So there are a lot of pools pulling hundreds of people to join their forces to basically build the infrastructure for mining Gonka. Moreover, in the future, the way we predict this, it is becoming more and more visible this year, particularly, is that in the future there will be more AI ASICs than anyone can even predict. So even NVIDIA themselves last year silently acquired one of the Silicon Valley AI ASIC, GrokU. They acquired them for $20 billion.
ASIC, for everyone in chat, ASIC is a special hardware specifically optimized to do inference, or like running the AI models. It's much more specific than NVIDIA GPUs, and it's much more cost efficient.
So that's the same thing which happened to Bitcoin back in 2013-14. The ASICs replaced the GPUs. So Bitcoin used to be mined primarily with NVIDIA and AMD GPUs, and then the ASICs came into the play, and more specialized chips, which are calculating hashes and nothing more, replaced GPU for good. For good to the extent that ASICs eventually became hundreds of thousands times more efficient in producing hash function, in calculating hash function of Bitcoin than GPU used to be. The same is happening right now with AI. NVIDIA GPU is very generalized animal hardware, and more companies like Penstancer, Thales, Carnime, Accelera, GrokQ, Atchit, and like I can go on and on and on. Because everyone understands that NVIDIA bottleneck is going to be a sweet spot to attack and try to eat part of the market of the $4 trillion valuation of NVIDIA, producing more efficient chips for specific function of AI inference, not AI mining, but not AI training, but AI inference. More and more companies are right now producing those AI ASICs. So by the end of this year, beginning of next year, there will be dozens of AI ASIC producers, and the mining will replace. It's not even going to be cloud providers as we know them today. It is actually going to be thousands, if not tens of thousands, smaller data centers. Those who are right now mining Bitcoin, they will basically replace or find some additional space for a rack of ASICs targeted for AI to mine Gonka. That's the way we see this is going to be developing in the future.
So if I have a chance to mine right now, it's much better to do it until
Yes.
until the. But it also means that the price of mining again gonna drop down, right? So that's surprising. Like this is such a great news for the ecosystem in general and for the world. But is this also means that the price of mining Gonka probably gonna go down if I can mine like 100 times faster, and the price of Gonka also will drop down, or at least
No, like
during
if you
this
look
ASIC revolution.
at what happened in Bitcoin, the competition between miners made hash
Drove.
rate of the network only higher, even though the price of the unit also fell. That's what we want to achieve. Because we all will use thousands of times more compute, the network will still be much larger than
The miner would still the miners would get this new hardware. Short term, they will gain more money, but sooner, all of the miners also will get this better hardware. So they all would still spend $1,000 per month for the mining exact amount of Gonka, but produce much more compute, and that
Think
would
about
will
this.
make the Gonka price much higher than it's now.
Think about this
it will represent 100 times more compute.
Yeah, think about this through this perspective. Bitcoin is a network of computers, of servers, which compute hashes of Bitcoin. The amount of those hashes only increase over the time. Right now, it's not even terahash, it's something like petahashes or even more than that. I don't even remember what's going on right now with the Bitcoin. It's a lot. It's like millions of terahashes, which has been produced. In terms of compute, we can say right now, Gonka can potentially, with the 3,000 GPUs, can potentially generate something like 10 to 20 billion tokens a day or something like this. Yes, David, correct me if I'm wrong. Something like this.
30, 40.
30, 40, yeah, something like this. Then OpenAI and Anthropic probably generating trillions of tokens, of AI tokens every day. In the future, Gonka network will be producing trillions of tokens every day, which will not decrease the price of the Gonka coin. The same, it didn't decrease the price of Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin network right now produces trillion times more terahashes, so mathematical operations. But because everyone is joining, because the price of the coin is going up, everyone is joining the network, adding more compute to actually earn coins, to then hold coins or sell coins and make profit out of this. Like it's like creating the infrastructure of the future AI compute. The cost of mining of every Gonka coin will only increase, driving more people to join, etc. It's a flywheel which will actually allow Gonka network to grow to the same size as Bitcoin network. And if we'll think about the Bitcoin network today we all heard that Bitcoin is consuming and eating a lot of electricity. Like everyone is like shocked how much electricity. But in reality, this how much is something over 20 gigawatt of power. Today, all of the AI data centers combined today, right now, is only 4.5 gigawatt. So OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, like all of them combined right
That's
now.
crazy. I
right,
never thought about it. Like
right
so,
now,
so like,
all of them right now is 4.5 gigawatt of power. Bitcoin alone is 25
so
gigawatt of power.
that's like, just think about it. Like the every AI, like Cloud Code, like OpenAI, video generation, Sora, AI inference, like everything like this is 5 times smaller than Bitcoin. And Bitcoin costs like 2 trillion. AI in general like costs like $10 trillion.
15.
And like,
The only
and if this transition will happen, like this GPU, this Bitcoin compute unlikely will join their traditional like OpenAI data center. It's more likely be represented on decentralized market where it is right now. And Gonka can get all this compute to their network.
So
And
what's interesting, the people who are mining cryptocurrencies today, in their control, in their perimeter, they have 25 gigawatt of energy worldwide, spread across the world. So the same people will be able to replace or find additional space for additional hardware, which is not going to be focused on the hashes of Bitcoin, but going to be focused on AI inference, on providing AI services. And this network can grow to the same size of like this 20 plus gigawatt of energy drained by this network in the future, except this time it is not going to be for producing meaningless hashes. So the hashes are thrown away right now. The Bitcoin hashes is basically thrown away. Think of it through the prism of people mining Bitcoin, getting
that makes sense to me.
the coin,
Like
and
that,
then throwing away all of the compute. With AI, they're still getting the coin and not throwing away all of the compute, but providing this compute to people worldwide, companies worldwide, for them to use as through the API.
that very makes sense to me. I have one question we have to do before because big gang to go out of time. Like some small, small pieces on the table. The 50 mil, the 50 million fundraising from the Bitfury. Can you tell a bit more about it? And like, if it's a fair launch, how did they fundraise? How did they invest in token? And
So
like,
this is a confusion. This is a media confusion because people didn't get used
me
to.
either.
Yeah. So like there was no fundraising. Like period. The first thing
Okay.
which needed to be understood, there was no fundraising.
No 50 mil.
No, there are 50 million. There is no fundraising. We never raised this $50 million, and we never got any money in this. So the money
Okay.
actually is invested into mining or buying out coins of the market.
Okay, from the market.
From the market.
But
The
there
first
was
thing,
rumors about discount. How does they can buy coins from the market with discount?
No, they
there was
cannot
no
get
discount.
with discount. The only thing which they got with the fixed price was the deal which they made with community pool.
Okay, and
So
they
what is important
pool?
to understand? What is important to understand about Gonka? When we launch it, 10%, even 12% of all the coins supply what went straight forward to the so-called community pool. So only the miners, only those who actually provide hardware have a voice, have a vote to say where this money will be spent.
It's a DAO, like
it's like a DAO. Like basically, it's a democratic
on-chain vote.
On-chain voting.
Can I attack right now? Like, can I get 25 mil, buy this, rent this compute, go to have a 51% in community pool, and vote to move this money to my own wallet?
Yeah. So what is happening? That like we were.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. We highly encourage you to try to do this. Because as soon as you will go to the network and add $5 million worth of monthly compute additionally on top of the existing $5 million, this will create a wave of other people saying, oh, it's growing again. We should rush into adding more.
Yeah, so
and you will not be 51% anymore.
Yeah, through this network, when the network, remember, when we launched, the network was really small. It was just 60 GPUs. And we constantly were asked, what if 51% attack? What if someone will try to accumulate a lot of compute? In our empirical observation, that as soon as someone thinks to add more compute, someone else at the same time also think about this, and it's happening almost at the same time. So we didn't have any moment when someone got too much of the power in the network. So it was naturally growing from all different directions. Moreover, with hardware, it's not like with staking. With hardware, it's actually really hard to accumulate a lot of compute. You can try to rent $5 million worth of GPUs. You will be unsuccessful. It's really hard. Our miners are fighting for every 100 new GPUs to the network. So they need to pay 6 months in advance contracts to get them and things like that, because hardware is a physical thing. It cannot grow just in one day to infinity.
So again,
that's very good point.
In order to get a vote in this, you can own as many Gonka coins as you want. It's not going to give you any power into this. You need to add hardware. In order to get hardware, you need to right now, and this is a crazy world in which we live. For you to rent GPUs of this amount, yes, you can rent 1, you can rent 10, you can rent 100. But as soon as you want to rent thousands, you actually need to not only sign a long-term agreement with the GPU provider, but also you must undergo KYC. So know your client, literally. This
and it makes you harder to secretly steal 50 mil.
Exactly.
Okay.
I
think that this all it's totally makes sense to me about the attack. So we're going around out of time, and I have a couple more questions I'm really interested in. So I will have to interrupt you. So this 50 mil, how are you gonna spend them, or what do you think community want to spend them?
And again, I will correct you. I will correct you. We cannot spend this 50 mil.
What?
It is a community who actually right now voting. So more people recently. This is a developing process. In the beginning, it was a smaller amount of people who actually was actively participating in the community. Now more and more people actively participating in the community, and now more and more proposals are being drafted and offered for the community's review by people who we don't even know who they are. So people actually right now making this offers, the community is reading the offers, community is discussing whether it's worth spending money or not worth spending money. And then the grant is given by the community's decision.
Is there an example of grant already been given to someone?
Yeah. So actually, more than, I think right now, more than $300,000 worth of grants were given to different proposals, developers who made something. We recently had $1 million worth of proposal from a big YouTube network, which wanted to bring more than 400 million views to the decentralized AI compute, etc. Unfortunately, this proposal weren't supported, but we actually hope that more proposals like that will be there and they will be supported. I think that people were just afraid that the total sum was too much with just one check. But it's different type of proposals to introduce Gonka and the concept to more people, proposals to build some new capabilities, which everyone wants. There is active discussions similar to like it's happened with Ethereum when there are proposals, people discuss whether this change will mean a lot for the network and things like that. So it's everything from engineering improvement to bringing more people into the community.
Awareness.
So in general, the pool is quite resourceful. Yes, if you will look at the current market price and you will look how many coins on the pool is quite resourceful. But the community step by step learning how to use this power. And similarly as to your question about exchanges and Daniel's answer that we actually made this project so that community participates. So it's not a project of Lieberman brothers and sisters. It's actually the project of the community. And we think that, yes, it is harder, but this what makes this project much more powerful than other projects with just one name on one organization. They can decide whatever they want with this project, and then the network will become meaningless. In our case, it's a strong community, which right now 15,000 people participate in the community. And we believe that it will be only more because AI is important for all of us.
But like community, like 50,000, like that's a huge number. Like, but probably they're like the real day-to-day management still down by like a few really active users. What's the current government process like feels like? Like, is there any platform like is a secret chat in Telegram with like top 10 miners who like, no, this proposal I don't like it. Like you cannot make decision with 50,000 people, especially like yes or no. You need to hear opinion. You need to discuss. You need to
Yes.
have a day-to-day management to like kind of aggregate all this opinion from the community and process them.
There are
How do you
definitely
manage?
different groups. There is a quite big group of DevOps of different miners. I think that they accumulate in the group, they accumulated a significant portion of power in the network. Most of the proposals actually still discussed publicly. Maybe people like discussed privately what are their thoughts on some of the proposals and things like that. But all the proposals are public because eventually vote is public. It's all like connected with GitHub links. Everyone see what is there. So the proposal on this $1 million worth of YouTube promotions, it was discussed for a couple weeks in Discord. So in most of the discussions.
Currently major platform is Discord and channels on Discord. As Derek mentioned, there are at least 2-3 groups. Majorly, they are language centric, with the system administrators, DevOps of the mining pools or mining or like larger miners. I would say there are in hundreds of participants, and they represent like some big share of the network power. Network power meaning like network compute power and network vote. And you will see that people are actually arguing about everything with each other. So this is a real democratic process. It's hard to get anything which people will be like all agree from first. Like the only thing which is everyone is agrees like when there is a bug discovered and we need to fix it really fast. That's when everyone is fast. Like this is fast, but the rest, the other decisions are like people actually considering what is in interest of the network, what is not.
How about team salary? Is team salary also went through a community pool?
So there is no such things that is team salary.
Oh,
so
team.
there are
Wait to Victor on this
yes.
call.
So there are people who
There are
working,
our employees.
there were people who were building with us, and we originally built this project without any investment, and we just put our own funds to make it happen. And being part of the community, we'll also put our funds to make things which we believe in. And other miners do the same. Most of the early miners, they also have some teams of engineers. They build something and they contribute to the communities. They, like, for example, chat, which was on the main website, was built by one of the miners. They also build brokers. Like, you built the DEX. That's how we see it should happen, and that's how we design this project to be.
Wow. Well, like I actually surprising it still work. Like it's really great. Like the community of miners and stuff. I've been working with like dozens ecosystem, and I've seen so many examples where public governments didn't end up well, and like it's introduced a lot of corruption and like poor management. And the fact you did vote, you did already vote against some proposals, and like you only spent $300 for 5 months, means you probably have really good discussion internally, um, which which, uh, which actually bring me some hope about the decentralized government, which I lost already. Having all this.
Moreover, what we see is actually that that people from the community who currently contribute, for example, to the code base, they are so excited, they're so motivated, they're much faster than what we would expect from people who would be just for hire. And they are so excited about getting the coins because they believe in this project. So I don't know. We were many times kind of questioned this decision when we started. We made it independent from us, like we made it governed by the community, and we heard from many people that it's not how the things should be done. You should have the power. You should leave some of the back doors for yourself. But we actually believe that this project were able to grow so fast because of that, because people believe that it's theirs. Like when Bitfury joined, they made this deal with community. Community sold them 20 million coins. And Daniel should go. Unfortunately, yes.
Bye, guys.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, Daniel, very glad to host you today, and yeah, thank you for coming. We actually run 10 minutes late already. Bye.
So when Bitfury joined, they immediately started posting on Twitter and everywhere that our project Gonka, and we were so happy that this is this way. So that every person who join, every person who organization who contribute feel it as their own. And that's what makes this powerful, because still, it's not about the current state of 3,000 GPUs. We designed it to be thousands of people participating and millions of GPUs and then ASICs joined to the network. And the only way to achieve that is to just remove your egos and make the community to decide. And it is unfortunate that many, like most of the decentralized projects right now, they're not like that. So they usually have some centralized organizations which pretend to be decentralized and things like that. But we don't believe in that.
I think that's a part of this is because you work with hardware miners. Maybe that helps you. Maybe this threshold of joining the kind of the board of decision helps, because so many like people who just invested money, they don't really care about projects, didn't put any effort, and like they are not really careful with decisions they make. And like the people is the most important. People needs to be care, and it's so hard to make people care. Even if VCs are like boy, like they invest like in a bunch of projects, they don't care about that much. Maybe hardware is something what keep you alive in this way.
Yeah, so even people who rent, they usually sign 6 months long agreement. So they it's longer commitments than you would usually expect. And also all by design, all mining coins, they have vesting over 6 months. So when we put it in design before Genesis, still people question that, like, because why is hardware providers will do that? They needs to be able to immediately sell the coins, and otherwise it's too much of the risk. But our belief was, yes, someone will refuse. But those people who are committed, those people who believe in the idea, and those people who believe in the protocol, they will join, and they will stay, and they will build this core community, which will be quite powerful. So I agree with you that most likely this is the case. So we didn't have any airdrops where people just get coins for nothing. Like every coin in the system is earned. Every community member who built something around this project, they earned their place in this community, and they earn their reputation, like your platform earned the reputation. There were several projects who were solving this problem for our community, and you were really proactive, and you made this beautiful design for that, and it made it work. And I really love that this is this way, that it's not just some kind of brands got it because some foundation signed their agreements with them, but this is actually pure motivation when people really believe that this should be done first. Yes, otherwise we all
we
screw.
wouldn't do this if you would personally not pitch us Gonka like a few months ago. It's much harder to scale. You need to inspire people personally.
Inspiration it is important, but then if it's just an inspiration, if people don't see the fundamental, if people don't believe in the same things, inspiration doesn't work long term. And we're here to inspire, but then people should do their own like homework, like to not to just trust that Bitcoin is 20 gigawatts. Check it and like be surprised by this number. And when you're surprised by this number, you will get to the same ideas we got before. So I think that both are important, and we talk a lot with all community members, and trying to explain our rationale, why we why we'll contribute, why we participate in the community. But still, it is a job of each of us to learn more about the transformation which is right now happening. Even if you don't participate in Gonka, it's really important to understand what is happening with AI, how being concentrated is actually makes it quite dangerous for all of us. That like I will skip some names, but we were meeting with one of the really brand name of the software which most of us right now use, and they were like, I'm waking up every day and I look at my bills to Anthropic, and I know that Anthropic is adding like $1 billion revenue every week. So additional revenue, like, and we need to diversify. We need to find other ways to make our compute. Otherwise, we made ourselves too dependent on these organizations. So I think that people feel it more and more, and we all need to be educated why it's important. Not just in tokenomics, whether this tokenomics works for you or not, but if you directionally see that it is where the world is going, that we need to make this alternative, then you can imagine how large this network can be, and then you can get through tokenomics. But initial inspiration for sure can work pretty well.
That's a very, very, very great moment to sunset our podcast. Very cool. I learned many new things today about Gonka, to be honest. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Unfortunately, I don't think we have more time for questions, but I believe you can go to the Discord, and David is in the chats in the community, so you can ask him there, or like you can ask us, and like maybe we can answer some questions. Well, maybe we will do one more podcast in the
yes, let's do, like,
see
in general,
what's happening, and like to see the ecosystem in dynamic.
We're super grateful to what you built. It's actually really amazing, and it's great that you step up and realize that it's something which is missing and it should be built. So we would love to join again and talk with your great community as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank
Have
you,
a great
Pasha.
Wednesday. Bye.